882 words within the 900-word target, 5% range. The script is complete in home/jarvisadmin/pocket veto script txt. Here's the full narration. There is a constitutional mechanism called the pocket veto. It appears in no law Congress ever passed. No committee ever debated its wording as a standalone rule, and it has existed since 1787, buried inside a single comma of Article 1, Section 7. Here is the proof it operates in secret. When a president uses it, no veto message is ever sent to Congress. Nothing is returned. The bill simply ceases to exist. By the end of this video, you will understand why the one veto with no explanation is also the one veto no one can undo. Here is what it literally is. The Constitution gives a president 10 days, Sundays excepted, to sign or reject a bill. If he does nothing and Congress is in session, the bill becomes law anyway. But there's a second clause, an escape hatch few Americans have ever read. If Congress adjourns during that 10-day window and the president simply does nothing, the bill dies. Not vetoed, not returned, not voted on again. It is killed by silence, absorbed into a procedural gap the framers left open, and it never receives a name in any statute. Lawyers just call it pocket, as if the president slipped the bill into his coat and walked away. It came to exist without a single vote because it was never designed as a power at all. It was a leftover. In 1787, the delegates in Philadelphia were solving a narrow problem. What happens if Congress adjourns before a president can return a bill he's rejected? Without this clause, a rejected bill would sit undelivered forever in limbo, belonging to no one. So they wrote an exception. Nobody in that room imagined it would become a weapon. But by the 1840s, presidents noticed something remarkable. This exception let them kill legislation without ever explaining why, without a formal veto message, without the political cost of saying no out loud. Franklin Pierce used it. So did Andrew Johnson. By the 20th century, it was a tool, not an accident, and Congress had never approved that transformation because there was nothing to vote on. Silence needs no ratification. Who controls it now is more contested than you'd expect. The Supreme Court weighed in twice, the Pocket Veto Case in 1929 and Wright versus United States in 1938, and both times the justices left the core mechanism intact while fighting over its edges. What counts as an adjournment that triggers it? A 3-day recess? A month-long break between sessions? The court drew lines, blurred them, and left presidents and congressional parliamentarians in a decades-long standoff over timing technicalities that most Americans have never heard mentioned once. Here's the power it holds over you. A regular veto is loud. The president sends Congress a formal objection, and Congress can override it with a 2/3 vote in both chambers. A real check, a real fight, a real record. The pocket veto has no such off-ramp. Because nothing is returned to Congress, there is nothing for Congress to override. No message, no vote, no debate, no accountability moment. Remember, no one voted for this mechanism to exist as a governing tool. It was a gap in a sentence about mail delivery for vetoed bills. In 1970, Nixon pocket vetoed a family planning services bill during a brief Thanksgiving recess. Not a true end-of-session adjournment, testing exactly how far the loophole could stretch. Congress sued. Courts eventually forced presidents into protective returns, a workaround, not a repeal. The clause itself never changed. Somewhere in a bill you've never heard of, sitting in a committee right now, this same clause is quietly deciding what becomes law based on nothing more than a calendar and a president's decision to do nothing at all. And you would have no way of knowing it happened unless a lawyer flagged the date. And here's the part that should actually worry you. All of this is completely legal. No court has ever struck down the pocket veto itself. It cannot be repealed through ordinary legislation because it isn't a statute, it's constitutional text, sitting at the same level as free speech and due process. Removing it would require a constitutional amendment, 2/3 of both houses, then 3/4 of the states. No president benefiting from the power will champion its removal. No Congress has ever mustered the supermajority to try. The clause is self-perpetuating by design. It survives specifically because unwinding it costs far more than living with it forever. What this tells you about every other institution you trust is unsettling. If a single comma from 1787, addressing a mail logistics problem nobody remembers, can still be killing legislation in total silence in the 21st century, then permanence in government isn't about wisdom. It's about inertia. It's about how expensive undoing something becomes the moment it hardens into structure. The pocket veto isn't hidden because anyone conspired to hide it. It's hidden because it never needed defending. Silence doesn't get challenged. Silence just wins. So the next time a bill quietly disappears at the end of a session, ask yourself, was that democracy functioning, or was that a 200-year-old gap in a sentence doing exactly what it was never meant to do?